Doing a dissertation while having a full-time job is something that's pretty difficult, especially for me. And recently I had the opportunity to do this because if you realize already, half my channel I'm actually talking about my part-time software engineering degree in Oxford University. So doing a dissertation isn't something surprising. And I actually struggle a lot doing dissertation because it's been a while since I required to write such a long documentation, to be fair, and in an academic way as well. And it's kind of overwhelmed because I have to pick up a lot of new skills that have been forgotten since my undergraduate degrees, and some of the difficulties that how I overcome it, and hopefully this video will help you guys. So in this video, it's pretty important. I will just talk about 4 things that I've learned so far. So first one is about my time management, which I think will share a little bit of my things, how that actually will help you guys to schedule your time to do dissertation while having full-time jobs. And then the next one will be just action points. The action points is about dissertation itself actually. It's literature review, research methodologies, and then finally is data analysis and how you present that in your dissertation, which is very important. So let's deep dive into the first one, time management, which is pretty important. Prioritizations, yeah. Prioritizations is pretty important, and it is pretty much the key of the first part of my points that I wanted to share, right? And in our life, there are a lot of distractions anyway, because we are doing our degree in part-time, and then our full-time have our commitment in full-time, basically our full-time job. And that takes away a lot of our attentions. And the most important thing here is to talk about how to prioritize your time, your schedules, and all that. So I think the bit how I use that is Notion. I think I wrote down, I've started to use Notion ever since I do my part-time software engineering degree, which is pretty important because I used to not to use it because I only work full-time job, and then after that I just play games at the weekends, right? And nowadays, because juggling so many different things at the same time, I have to have a second brain or a book that actually I can document what's happening myself around my daytimes so that I can keep tracks of my progressions and things like that. And part of that is also setting a achievable milestone as well, because I think this is part of the time management. If you don't set a time to do whatever you promised yourself to do, especially the dissertation, I think this will bite you very hard at the end of it. And I kind of thinking I still have about a year to graduate. I start to do my dissertation now because I would have plenty of time to make my dissertation better, do more research, talk to my supervisors to make sure that I'm actually achieving a good standard of my dissertation, basically. And I also think that leverage technologies is also very important. I just mentioned that I use Notion a lot because there's no reason not to, because there's so many tools that we can use nowadays to keep track of it. You can even use your Excel to keep track of whatever you have done for today for dissertation. You can make even your project plan, Gantt chart. And some people may think it's kind of overkill, but I believe it does require, and I used to think that it's overkill as well, but nowadays, maybe I'm getting old, I'm 33 now. I do need, again, my Notions to keep track of what I'm doing, and then do a time block, which is also very important. Once you have the time block, you spend your time doing that after hours, and then you can do something else. So that's pretty much one of the most important things. And then lastly, for time management bit, I think a lot of people just felt like if I want to do a dissertation, I will spend 8 hours on that. I just felt like it's not possible, because doing dissertation require your kind of utmost, not full time, but full concentration of what you're going to write. And that attention span actually doesn't last that long. For me, it's gradually improved for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but my current one is 40 minutes, and then after that I just need to have some breaks, think about what I want to do next, and then I come back, I start to do my dissertation again, which I kind of felt like this is the best way to do so. So in the dissertation, there are a few actions that we need to take, which is pretty important, rather than just time management, which is the foundation of it. There are 3 action types that I think a lot of people didn't talk about when they write the dissertation, which is, first one is the literature review, something that I think a lot of people didn't realize that how important is that, because every single dissertation, no matter your degree or master's or dissertation, PhD or whatever, you need a literature review for your dissertation, because that's the foundation of it. Again, it's not just time management, but you have to read the research, what is actually literature review for research topics, basically. And I think the first almost tip is that begin your research as soon as possible. And for me, I still have a year to graduate, and then I decided to do my literature review as early as possible, which is now, which is a year before, so that I can prepare on my topics, what's my gaps, what's required to improve it. And this is significantly important, especially if you know your gaps. You can actually write down your gaps in your dissertation as well, as kind of advised by my lecturers. Supervisor, I would say, if I missed that part of bit that I didn't do in my dissertations, I actually wrote it down that saying, I still know that what I'm missing, I did part of that, and this is what I missed. And if I have that in my dissertation, it's proven that I actually did enough research, my preparations, and showcase to the markers or any other lecturers marking my stuff that I did preparation for my stuff. And I think another one is note-taking as well. It's genuinely important, and a lot of people didn't actually realize how important it is, because note-taking and summarizing stuff is tremendously important for master degree, as degrees dissertation, I guess, because in master degree we are required to gather a lot of data, a lot of journaling to read more about it, and then how can we summarize it? That's pretty much the note-taking skills, and then ability to summarize it and then reference it. If you're able to, or I able to learn that, I kind of able to save a lot of time while doing this referencing, summarizing, and that's what I learned so far. Although I'll only be at the beginning of my dissertation, I'm just preparing my topics right now. Knowing these skills already helped me, I think probably saved me an hour's time by spending probably half an hour to learn about how to referencing properly, right? And then the second action point is research methodologies. Again, it's pretty much the dry stuff that people usually just skip over when doing dissertations, but it's really important to write down how you want to do your research methodology. Qualitative versus quantitative, pretty important. I think my editor will put pictures around it, just talk about it. I think it's basically your purposes, your data type, your approach, and then your analysis as well, which it's kind of different. And qualitative is about, I think, how much and versus why. So pretty much the differences is qualitative is survey type of it. You ask questions. I think it's less about the calculative type of stuff. And I think when doing math research or computer science thingy, I think quantitative research is probably more related to my stuff. I haven't actually chosen it yet because I'm not sure what kind of stuff is actually related to me, but I will update you guys in the Discord channel once I've decided what I'm going to choose for my research methodologies. And I think it's also one of the important things is the relevancy of the supervisor as well. So for myself, I've changed third supervisor for my dissertation, even though I haven't actually written the main one, because when I first, the story behind that is when I first approached my supervisors, the first one is quite happy to allow me to write of whatever I want. So I'm a bit skeptical about it, and I'm just questioning the fact that, is there any question around it? Is there any opinion about it? He just say, nope, you're good to write about it, which I just felt like at least there should be a question about it. Anyway, and then I'm able to have a chance to talk to second supervisors, and the second supervisor is a stark difference than the first one, where it's actually sparked the interest of me doing this YouTube video basically, and the literature review, research methodology, and the data analysis, which we'll talk about in a minute, is the result of his conversations. But I just felt like it's overkill a little bit, because he is saying, we have to do literature review, quantitative data, and all that before we actually decide what's the topics we're going to do, which is a little bit different of the usual, I think, master thesis, even though when we're preparing the proposal, we are actually not required to do that much of intense data gathering. But long story short, I changed the third one. The third one is surprisingly good enough to advise me that why dissertation is a story, and how to write dissertation in a story will help me to guide the markers to find the bullet point you need, and then it will ease them to mark it as well, which is self-explanatory, I think. Then lastly is data gathering and analysis. I think when doing this is pretty, I would say, requires strategic planning as well, because when you're doing a data collections, you don't You don't want to collect as much data you want, but you actually need a strategic to collect the data you need for a dissertation rather than just collect loads of rubbish and then you're having a hard time to analyze the data you would need to do. So at the same time, we are very lucky as well because in the 21st centuries or in the 2023, we've got a lot of tools that will help us to summarize the data, is telling us the data whether that's useful or not. And it's pretty much like, for example, for data gathering, Google Form, you can use that for survey, which is quite famous on that. And then you can also use R to quantitative and do analytics on data, which is, I think, a lot of people using that as well. So the last bit about data analysis is about data interpretations. I do think that for those who do data analytics as a career, it will be a lot easier to do this kind of work because it knows how to do data gathering, and then they're going to be able to do transfer data and visualize them in a meaningful way as well. At the end of the day, as advice from my lecturers, it's about, I think, dissertation is about story points that you have put effort into, so you have to write storybooks that, I wouldn't say impress the markets, but a storybook that you're proud of so that people can read it and then it consistently reflects the research topics that you propose to do. Anyway, at least that's for me. So that's the end of my video. I'm not sure if this is a crappy video, but I'm trying to make the point that doing a dissertation while having a full-time job is a very difficult stuff, especially myself currently. I have a full-time jobs and then I'm doing side hustle to earn a little bit of money around. Plus I'm doing YouTube video, which is what I'm doing right now. And then I'm also coding a game hosting business, which is my SaaS first products that actually will host my current business, which should be released soon. And so that's basically summarizing a lot of things be happening around my life, but I'm using the methods how I going to do my dissertation, and hopefully that would help, which I think, just summarizing it, is time management, very important, self-explanatory, but when you're actually doing it, putting that into actions, you will then realize how you can actually use notions or time blockings and the method I just mentioned just now to help to do that dissertation. And then the action points of 3 bits of the dissertation, which is the most important stuff: literature review, you have to do your research, a lot of them. Second one is research methodologies, qualitative, quantitative, which one you actually use. And then finally, it is visualizing the data or data gathering, both together, how you're gonna analyze the data and then showcase that data in a very consistent way or useful, meaningful way, so that people would understand what you research about, and also to showcase that you have done a good research on the topics that you have chose. So that's the end of my video. If you have any questions around doing dissertations while having full-time jobs, any queries you want to ask, then just leave the comments down below. I'm definitely happy to answer that. And then also, if you like this kind of videos or like what I'm doing about, then feel free to subscribe to my videos, and then also like my videos, which will help the algorithm to reach maybe 5 more people. That's it. But that's the end of my video. See you next time. Peace.